go live for you guys or try to get my capture card stuff I set up. The thing about it is that just by like I guess the stuff, I still have my capture cards and stuff like that, but I definitely have to go back into the game software and then get it back to where you could hear me, my voice and certain stuff, the audio. And I still have my what mic is it? Yeah, the Blue Yeti. I have the Yeti, the good $100 microphone. So this time around, I'm gonna just be stacking money for the PS5. I definitely gonna probably get the digital edition of games. I really don't care for the disc now. The thing about the disc creates more space. And I know the PlayStation, all this stuff, pretty much all games are now digital. And that makes any sense. Before, it really wasn't a thing. I mean, it was, but who was really buying digital? But disc and certain stuff going by the wayside because it's basically a DVD. Like games or Blu-ray DVD. Now they're about to be 4K DVD. So, but I mean, there's a market for that. But same, it's like, and to me, it wouldn't make that much sense to upgrade like 2 monitors or something like that. One for recording and then one for what is it? One for recording. One. I feel like the biggest thing. Let me see if I'm getting chat. Okay, I'm still in party chat. One thing about it is I don't understand like buying like basically build your own PC. Nobody's been talking about that. Like it would make sense to build like a $10,000 computer or build your own PC and then you don't have insurance on it. If someone did that, that's just stupid. That's like buying a $300,000-$400,000 car and don't have good warranty or anything on it. You played yourself. But yeah, like I said, from a standpoint, I mean, I really don't like certain stuff. Like I mean, cars and stuff. It's just, I mean, it could be a nice car, like you know, Lamborghini and certain stuff. But I mean, you have to pay a lot of money. That's not the reason why I don't like it. I mean, I like the Lamborghini. I think it's cool, but at the same time, to me, I'd rather have something that can pretty much triple my money, or you know, at least multiply it by a number of that car or something like that, than to buy doggone, you know, $400,000 car, depreciating asset, just for sake of saying that I have it. And then I'm still thinking about, you gotta get the wrong attention. Like I mean, I don't live for people. Like I really don't. Like a lot of people living for people to, you know, hype them up and stuff like that. I've never been the type person to ever feel like I need to be validated by other people. Like I mean, a good Lexus, like it's a good car to be something like that. Like a good Lexus car is pretty good. It's doable. But definitely I feel like there's a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense to me that much, but from a standpoint, I feel like some of the stuff is ridiculous. I wanted that sniper, but oh well. I'm having a pretty good game right now, so I remember. Well, I'm still thinking about it today. They said that two NFL players for the Tampa Bay Bucks. So what you call it? Tested positive for coronavirus. Not surprising. You know, I don't think that the NFL, in all honesty, a lot of people get that these like corporations and certain stuff, I mean, they're trying to make money. They need to get back. They feel like they need to get back because they're losing revenue. They're losing billions of dollars. But I mean, think about it this way. I don't 100% believe they're like losing billions of dollars because they make billions of dollars before all this coronavirus stuff. The only thing that probably hurts them is probably just deep pockets, like why is a beach ball rolling down? That's interesting. But like deep pockets. You made already a lot of money. You already got deals where you know you're on a network. You already you can't watch certain games unless you have the NBA Game Pass. I'll be screwed. Ow. Well, I got eliminated because I got what you call it. I did my best, bruh. Those guys, I mean, I did everything possible. I even was by my teammates. So I won't. And when I went against those 3 people, I eliminated the whole squad. So I'm doing good this go around. So not really mad about anything. I think from a logistics standpoint, businesses, schools, and stuff, they're trying to stay afloat. Like, how can I say, if you're trying to stay afloat, like, you don't try to do anything. You know, you may not have, like, for instance, logistically, you may not even have the staff. Maybe not the budget, but it just depends. Because NFL teams, they definitely have a position and certain stuff like that, but like the NBA should just cancel their season, just because more and stuff, pro athletes are coming back with the coronavirus. I mean, you can take all the preventative measures, but like I'm saying, like certain stuff like DNA and bacteria can seep through people's skin, that type of stuff like that. So, like if someone, you know, being stupid, thinks that, you know, they have cuts all over their body, they feel like they need to wash and, you know, some hydrogen peroxide, and they just fill a whole bathtub, they'll die. Like, they'll die. And please don't try that. Please do not try that. Because people be dead in probably like maybe a minute or so if they did do that. To me, it doesn't make that much sense, like, to for corporations and like businesses to at least try to extend, you know, some type of thing for fans and for viewership. Or just because we have, yeah, we need a film to get on primetime TV slot because there isn't nothing other like on TV sports related to watch, like MMA. MMA is going to be open for a number of lawsuits. UFC is, I mean, it's brutal. I mean, I don't really watch UFC fights. I've never had a desire to watch UFC fights because it's just too much going on. People definitely, like John Bone Jones, he definitely has like some challenges, like especially with like mental health and stuff like that. I think he got like addicted to cocaine or something like that. You know, honestly, I don't think anybody can be in their right mind fighting and beating people down like that. Man, that guy got taken out, bro. Pathetic. I did everything I needed to do, but that guy was just terrible. Well, my group's just terrible. I'll put it at that. And then that lag spike. Oh my god. To me, I don't know, man. I keep talking about this coronavirus second wave and stuff's not coming. I'm pretty sure it is coming. Like, from a logistics standpoint, I don't even think we have enough tests. Like, you know, we don't have enough tests, and to be honest, we don't have that. And then at the same time, nobody's talking about the coronavirus testing. Like, you got to search around, you got to ask around. I feel like you should have to do that anyway. But like, especially during a pandemic, the biggest problem is like, maybe not misinformation in this case, but it's definitely a whole lot of miscommunication too about certain stuff. Like, I got tested for coronavirus, came back negative because I really don't be going nowhere. At the same time, I'm very meticulous about, you know, washing my hands. You know, staying away from high, like population dense areas. And a lot of stuff is preventative, like definitely washing your hands. It doesn't 100%, you know, exempt you from being exposed to coronavirus, but, you know, you well. Besides the point, like, a lot of stuff is just not well thought out. Like schools, like, they're talking about we're supposed to have a couple tests. Like a couple tests for like coronavirus and stuff like that. They're supposed to set up, And certain stuff. I know kids and stuff are now they're doing this thing where like at least in the county where I live at, they're doing a thing where kids and stuff are not moving like that. I don't even know logistically. I don't understand. Like they have multiple exits and stuff, certain stuff like that. You have to enter a certain way. You have to leave a certain way. And you can only leave in a certain amount of time. Like your lunches and stuff will be delivered to you, like you in elementary school or something like that. I know sometimes that happens. Like the bag lunch, they'll bring it to my class when I was like a little kid. That was like way back in like 2003. I was about like what 4. So I mean, being 4 and certain stuff is definitely, that was a long time ago. Because I'm now 21, but I mean, a lot of stuff has changed, and then a lot of stuff's just the same. Like, he moves. Just keep moving. What? I didn't even mean to do that. So. I can't do nothing for you, nephew. Yeah, Dragon beat you beat, bro. Got him. Get in. Yeah, I'm dead. I knew the moment I went like that, yeah, I knew I was dead. I tried to do as much as I can for those dudes, but I mean, so much you can do. Those guys, by fighting those people, they're what you call it. You know, that was their. I'm still thinking about foods and certain stuff too. Like the quality of food that you're getting now is terrible. Like in a service wise, like even as a takeout order, like certain people I don't know. Like I'm not trying to get over on restaurants. Like I really don't care. You know, I really. Like, to be honest, most restaurants I feel like they're cutting corners anyway. Even before the food's just not. Like, you try to give places business or certain stuff, and then the like employees and stuff are trying to give you a difficult time, like, and that be your job for long. Like, but think about it. Some of these people being so loyal to these companies and certain stuff. These companies don't care about people. They just don't. Like, if you had to think about it, you know, you shouldn't have to, you know, it shouldn't have took what you call it, like a pandemic for people to be able to work at home. And like, for instance, like let's say like a company like Google. Google has a lot of money out to its employees, but at the same time, you know, a lot of people, you know, they could be just what you call it, stacking their cash. Like you live out in California, the cost of living index in certain out of this world and astronomical rent. But San Francisco is really out of this world. It's out of this world. It's too high. It's worse than New York, and then it's a whole lot. It's just expensive, overpriced stuff. Paying more money for certain stuff does not mean that it's good. You're not getting the value. Like I said, you know, a certain little piece of house, like maybe 1,200 square feet, at least 1.7. That's not home improvement. And I know a whole lot of stuff too. People getting laid off from their jobs and stuff like this. Is probably the worst financial crisis probably in the history of like the country, I guess. Like worldwide, it's not only a United States thing. It's just terrible. Because the price that you pay for certain stuff is just like the value of a dollar is going down, but stuff is steady like going up in price. Like by you paying a lot of money for certain stuff, you know your dollar's just not going to get stretched out. to. I know certain like restaurants and stuff, they don't get their stuff. They can't get like a wholesale, what you call it, place to deliver them, you know, spirits and wine and certain stuff, fortified wines, stuff like that. The people have to go to stuff like there's only a handful of places that have control over that. Like I said, like ABC is a monopoly. Well, it's a monopoly created by the government, so rightfully so, because they want to, like, if someone don't know what ABC stands for, I don't know. It's not that hard, but it's called alcoholic beverage control. So it's a regulatory body that basically, you know, you have to be licensed to, you know, you have to be permitted to sell alcohol. Like, you just can't go out to the gate, and it's pretty expensive. It is pretty expensive. You talking about at least, like, for restaurants, at least 40K. It's at least 40K. So, I mean, a lot of people just go in a hole. Turn around, bro. I'm gonna leave. You know, steal. Like, I don't believe in stealing. I don't believe in taking property and stuff that's not, you know, belong to me, or doing stuff by legal means to obtain materialistic values. You know, I'm not one of those people. I don't feel like I need to do certain stuff for. What you call it? Let me think of a good way to say something in a kind of a good manner, but no harm by it. But it wouldn't make sense for people to, you know, let's say for instance, it wouldn't look good for somebody who's supposed to have a business sense and have certain stuff. You know, you're not supposed to max out a credit card or limit upwards of a certain amount behind, you know, business venture within a total of 2 months. Like, for a limit, it's like $70,000. And, you know, you decide for your business you're gonna do some renovations in a spot that you don't own, and at the same time you upgrade it with, you know, an industrial fridge and stuff like that for meats and stuff like that. You know, like a butcher's type of thing where they freeze the meats. That doesn't make that much sense. To have an industrial grade type of freezer, or, you know, really putting money into stuff that, you know, it doesn't add up. Like, I know that's why a lot of buildings and certain stuff, people, they get these. And then there's a lot of stuff where landlords say they're going to upgrade, upfit places. That, you know, that stuff doesn't happen. The handshake agreement is as good as what you call it as, like, in writing, but always get stuff in writing. Because it won't stay, like, just because hearsay, it's not going to work. It comes a he said, she said type of thing. And You know, you never want to have a situation like that where, you know, I'm just gonna leave that one because that guy was terrible. It's just like, you know, you're not, you know, you'll never get in the places, you know, if you're not really in the loop or in the mix. Like investment banking, you know, you got to learn a lot of ratios and certain stuff. The credit score is definitely a factor, but they run a ratio on anybody to make sure how likely they are to pay their stuff back. It's called quick ratio and certain stuff like that. You have all this different type of stuff for like accounting, from an accounting perspective. You know, you get, a lot of people have to fill out forms and certain stuff about their income, what they're employed and exactly what they do before they get approved for a loan. They gotta fill out W-4s, W-2s, all that type of stuff. They check at a lot of stuff. People be surprised. But being employed in certain stuff, a lot of companies and certain stuff, they don't need certain people. And I hate to put it like that, but they don't. It's just more of a cost to people. I will go to Pleasant. Like, but going to like paying more money for schools and certain stuff like that, nah. Like you paying more money to go to a school, like let's say someone pays, like there's a lot of schools and certain stuff that are within a certain price range. And it doesn't, I mean, name is important, but at the same time, it just depends. If you go to a private liberal arts, you know, Christian school or something like that, and it's $45,000 a year to go, and you know you might have decent grades and stuff like that. That $45,000 a year, what you call it, tuition, yeah, that's a little bit too much. You know, certain people wouldn't have the money or financial means to do certain stuff. Like, you know, you go in a hole financially. You definitely go in a hole. I know a whole lot of people talking about the college debt and stuff is going up, but at the same time, I don't really agree with that. But at the same time, you know, some of these jobs and stuff that you get when you don't have like a college education is terrible. So people work all day for pennies on the dollar. I mean, it is what it is. I know people talk about people not paying taxes. I mean, all that stuff is by design. If you were a millionaire, would you want to be paying a lot in taxes? No, not really. I wouldn't want to pay much in taxes, but I'm not a millionaire or anything about that. Now I would like to donate as much money as I possibly can so people can go to school and certain stuff like that. Or facilities and stuff like food banks and stuff like that could be like established so people don't have to go hungry. and people can have a fair share of like access. That was a lucky grenade throw, but this is us. Now I do have some disinfectant wipes because I know a manager for a store and stuff like that. I have a decent amount. Everything, yeah, it just depends on the location you're living at. There are stores and stuff like that. People brand stores and what family. Yeah, people, before, it's not even had anything to do with looting. It'd be people just going, like, I remember one time I went to a store, I think in Northwest DC. This white man and his wife stole like $400 worth of stuff. And the alarm beep went off thing, you know, and a guy who checked this out, he was like, what you call it? Somebody, like the security person thought me and my family were out there trying to shop. If we don't do that. Like, anybody know me, no, I don't steal. I don't believe in doing stuff that's immoral and wrong. And like, especially like taking stuff that I know don't belong to me. But that's not the point. Because it didn't make any sense. Like, people going, it really doesn't matter. Every crime or stuff, every race commits crimes. It really doesn't matter. People talk about black on black crime. Black on black crime doesn't exist. What exists is poverty and, you know, no means of stuff. I'm not glorifying people committing crimes because I don't do that, but at the same time, dummy. That was embarrassing. That was an embarrassing death. You really have to be trash can if you let me do that. But like, certain stuff just really don't make sense. Like, but definitely the supply chain management, like the mask. Like the mask price and certain stuff, like, that don't make any sense. But definitely back to what I'm saying about certain stuff. Like, people talk about, black on black crime. That's something that really don't exist. Crime exists, but like stuff is a crime in proximity. Like if a place is poverty ridden, you know, you got people like just doing certain stuff like drug trafficking, gun trafficking, you know, extortion, that type. So that's how criminal gangs and criminal organizations, that's how they make a majority of their money. Robbery, certain stuff like that's how a majority they fund their organization. And it is not right, but at the same time, you know, there's not nothing people really want to do about that aspect. Because I mean, every group or you know every demographic has some form of gang or something like that. And then there's a whole lot of stuff that doesn't make sense too. Like people was talking about what was the name of the sheriff? Oh yeah, I know his name. Joe Arpaio. He was a criminal. You know, anytime you receive federal funds and certain stuff, what it's to be used for it has to be used for, and that money's accounted for. You can't pocket money to go on trips and certain stuff like that. You can't do that. The money and stuff is supposed to be used for food, for inmates and certain stuff like that. Like the money has to be used for what it's used for. You can't sit up here and do anything that's not correct. But I think like at a certain point, it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't. I remember someone in high school asked me about black on black crime. Black on black crime is race baiting, honestly. And it's just like, you know, one thing I don't do, I'm a pretty objective person, stuff like that, but stuff is wrong. It is what you call an issue, but certain stuff, nah. Like gangs and stuff, it's just bad. I remember like people were talking about how they were gang affiliated and certain stuff, like especially at like you know, these town hall meetings and stuff like that. How gangs is not as bad as media portrays them. You know anybody being on the street, like a lot of people just think that this stuff, street cred and stuff, is you know valid. Street cred and stuff is not even valid. You know, it's really not. Here you go. Like the street cred thing is not valid, bro. It's just not. People think that the street cred stuff is valid. I mean, it's not. People in the street always constantly taking the L. You always take an L. You go to jail, you get shot, you die, something like that. You know, you constantly take an L. But I think from a standpoint, certain stuff is just bad. But to me, it makes no sense, like, for to spend, like, a lot of people spend the time. Sometimes you gotta really fact check certain stuff. Like, I'm pretty objective. I don't really try to read certain stuff. Check the sources, you know, try to do scholarly stuff. You know, but I feel like certain times, like, you know, I wouldn't expect, like, certain people, you know, you cannot be a spokesperson. Like, someone talk about black on black crime. That doesn't exist. It really doesn't. It definitely is a race baiting question. Like, you know, you cannot be a what you call it, a community spokesperson for the black community. I feel like sometimes people, if you know people, and they call you the one black friend or something like that, yeah, I fundamentally disagree with that. Like, it's not your job to be a spokesperson for black people and stuff like that. It really isn't. But I feel like there's certain people, like, you, like, at a point, become a token to these people, and that's pretty bad. I definitely think that is pretty bad. $750 ping? Okay, this is tolerable here. But paying more money for certain stuff don't make that much sense to me. Like, I know a whole lot of stuff, like, people, I don't know. If someone asks you, do I support defund the police? That is an interesting question, considering a few things. I support police reform and stuff like that. Defund the police, maybe a little bit, but I feel like that's ridiculous. To a point. Because you think about that. What do you think about... I know there's a whole lot of stuff that goes on, like, abuse. Like, domestic violence and stuff that goes on. Who you call on when there's domestic violence and stuff like that. The police. I'm not really, what you call it, too big on certain stuff. I feel like police brutality and definitely being black in America is tough. No, you can still follow all the directions and stuff and get shot. I mean, people have a right to protest. I'm definitely on that side. I mean, a lot of stuff is just people getting tired of it. And I'm kind of tired of hearing about this stuff because, I mean, at the same time, all these trends and stuff is doing nothing. If we're being completely honest, but it is what it is. But definitely certain stuff, like, yeah, some people are definitely more on a radical side of being like communists and stuff like that. To me, it doesn't make sense. I just don't see it. people want to have that TED talk on the internet about, you know, everything being black owned and certain stuff like that, or just buying black owned and your dollar's worth more. But I mean, black owned stuff, I mean, it's good. I try to support black owned businesses and stuff like that because I'm black. You know, try to support somebody's business, but everybody's business is not good, and everybody's price is not good. Like, for instance, like there is a black person who works on garages and stuff like that, and he basically lied, gave a quote to fix, you know, a garage. He was charging like what, $500 extra when he told the whole thing was supposed to get fixed. Like the whole garage and stuff had to be replaced, and then like it was only a piece that needed to be fixed, and you know he was dishonest. And then, you know, was like, especially if you tell somebody something like that, then they start cussing you out. Like, I mean, well, I know you crazy. You know, ain't gotta do business with you, pal. And that's ridiculous. But at the same time, you know, you just gotta watch out who you do business with, man. You just have to be like cognizant of like deals and certain stuff. Because everybody who do business ain't got no business sense. Like, But like, that's what I'm saying. It's like also too, like, what I don't get to is what you call it. Certain people charging like money for certain stuff, like especially black owned stuff. Black owned does not mean cheaper, better, or anything. You know, certain people's businesses, you gotta question it. Just gotta question it. Some people want to charge like a steep fee for certain stuff. I'm just like, I just don't see it. Just don't see it. Like, let's say plumbing, for instance. You know, you do a diagnostic test or something like that. You know, you check toilets out. You know, you check water lines and stuff like that, and you get, you know, between $475 and $600, and all you didn't even check the lines and stuff under the actual house. You know, you gotta dispute certain stuff, because I mean, you disconnect water pipes and stuff like that too. You really have to be careful. I got eliminated, but I mean, I'm not really tripping about that. It is what it is. I can't do nothing about that. You can probably watch this out. I definitely took the sacrifice for my teammates. Good stuff. I would have done better against that guy. But that's besides the point. Like someone, for instance, if they committed an armed robbery and they got, 10 years and stuff like that, they had a lengthy rap sheet. Nah, they don't need to be free anytime soon. I hate to say it, like armed robberies, because like, what America gives people is kind of, I hate to say it, it is a slap on the wrist compared to other countries, because other countries ain't playing that. Other countries, and they're just not playing that. Like I said, certain countries got, like, death penalty, like, by firing squad. Like China, you even steal something, you're gonna work at a labor camp and you're gonna be worked to death. There's no stopping. You might be dehydrated and exhausted, and the room might be 130 degrees. You're gonna literally be worked to death. So by that 10 years, even though that's terrible, and I mean, you gotta pay for your sins though. You wanna commit a crime, hey. I feel like the United States, the criminal justice system can be reformed a little bit, but the majority of the part, I'm not turning a blind eye to stuff, but certain stuff, like, nah. You gotta have some type of, balance. But I'm still think about people committing crimes, certain stuff, about how somebody did the same crime and got more time. It just depends, but you already know how the criminal justice system works, and you already know that because of the color of your skin, you're gonna get a few years and stuff added on. How? Nobody even seen him. You already know you. In the 80s, there was people convicted off people, and their story kept on changing multiple times, and they had all white jewelry. I said jewelry. My bad. I'm really tired because I didn't even really go to sleep that that long. All white jewelry, and it was stacked. People, the information stuff, evidence was left out and withheld, and that's really. You're supposed to have the right to a fair and speedy trial. There could be people not even having the type of, legal need, and they play it out on plea deals and know they didn't do it. And then they had the evidence, and they withheld it or destroyed partial evidence, and did not consider certain stuff for the jury. And then, before you know it, people spending 30 to 40 years behind bars. And then getting terrible amount of money for all the years and stuff that they lost. Like, I would be pretty pissed off with, people spending 37 years behind bars and all they're getting is $500,000. That's terrible. But like I'm saying, like, there's plenty of people that I went to school with and certain stuff like that. They're already causing trouble and stuff like that, and you know they serving time behind bars. Is it sad? Yeah, it is sad. But at the same time, people made mistakes and they made choices and they're behind bars. It's simple as that. Yeah, I'm not that type of person, you know, be up under people, be somebody's flunky. I'm just not one of those type of people. We're not gonna be acting like a groupie either, too. That's besides the point. Um, mm-mm. Cause like if you really had to think about it, like all this stuff like high school. I mean, the thing about high school and stuff is just it's few and far between. Like, you know, relatively speaking, everybody's path may not be college and stuff like that, but you know, certain people, they just want to do certain stuff. You know, they go down the path of this, you know, terrible. They're not saying they're not up to no good, but some people are not up to no good. Like, yeah, people and stuff stealing iPads and certain stuff, but they have a cabinet or a rack and certain stuff. Like, people, you get assigned a device. Like, my school system got a grant for maybe like $2 million or $1 million to have like an iPad, at least for my school especially. They had a grant to give people iPads. This is when iPads was new, like the iPad Mini 2. That's what we had. And, you know, we got individual iPads. We assigned a number and certain stuff like that. You know, you weren't allowed to take it home, but you could get like, we had like a total of like 25 iPads, and people were just going to steal the iPads. Well, I got third party, so I hit that guy for 86. But I mean, it is what it is in that case. Definitely, I feel like there's discrepancies though, but like definitely stealing iPads and certain stuff and nah. Like, definitely saying free people. Nah, people, especially, there could be people doing stupid stuff. Like, there could be, like, somebody said, like, the dumbest thing I think happened was, someone said they gonna hit people with a bat. And the person that most got ISS, and this person was seriously caused some more trouble. And then I already graduated high school, and there was a gang fight and stuff like that. That was ridiculous. Now, I don't wish ill will on people, nothing like that, but, some of that stuff is just, you know, that's not gonna be tolerated. I know people talk about the United States, their, you know, criminal justice system is terrible. I mean, we can talk about it. I'm halfway on that, but at the same time, like, you know, the recidivism and then the fact that some people don't want to change their life around and stuff like that. And besides, in other countries, they're a little less strict. Well, they're not a little less strict, they're more strict, and certain stuff constitutes the death penalty. And I feel like that's weird, but at the same time, like drug trafficking, like in like Philippines and certain stuff like Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, pretty much the, especially that type of area. I think it's called the Golden Triangle. where most of the opium and stuff comes from, those regions and stuff like that. You know, obviously they have to do something against the issues, to reduce the crime rate and stuff like that going on, but that type of stuff still happens. Honestly, these people don't make no sense. The golden train. Myanmar. It's called Burma. Otherwise known as Burma, but they changed that. But definitely, like, there's really no tolerance for certain stuff, certain behaviors. But I think that type of stuff is weird, but also drug trafficking and stuff, that's obviously wrong. Opioids and opiates, that type of stuff. I can't believe certain people talk about like drugs and certain stuff like that. Like, nah. For like, I really can't name any successful people. It just depends. Like, you know, certain people getting drug tested, like for certain jobs. And there's been plenty of like CEOs and certain people just in general. I think like one of these NFL teams, they had somebody on like camera or something like that. There was like a leaked video of him snorting cocaine and stuff like that, and you know, that's bad. But then, you know, the employees and stuff could be using marijuana. I don't believe in like drug use at all. It really doesn't matter. Certain stuff is just, you know, being, I guess, of an able mind and certain stuff like that is definitely not a thing that I guess a lot of people are on. But at the same time, I really don't know that many people that are successful with their goals and certain stuff by using drugs and certain stuff like that. I mean, nobody like woke up and just, like basically said they want to do drugs and stuff like that. It just, they got around the wrong people, and this the influences, stuff like that, and that's how stuff really gets to that point. But I mean, 9 times out of 10, you know, a lot of stuff's just at a point where I feel like it's just ridiculous at the same time. But you know, things obviously, I mean, have they gotten better? Not really, but like I'm saying, like especially with like there's certain stuff too. To me, it doesn't make that much sense. No, it just don't make sense. Like someone's a two-time felon and they change their life around, they can't get a job. I mean, that's their fault. And a lot of people, they think that this organized crime and stuff is really gonna get them to a place where, you know, that, you know, you really can't come back from that type of stuff. I mean, nobody's gonna care and mysteriously wake up a certain day in the law and start to change. It's not gonna happen. I think by definitely like people doing certain stuff, it's like the final nail in the coffin now. Like, I don't know. People talking about free somebody that did armed robbery. Nah. Or an assault with a deadly weapon with serious intent to kill and injure. No. What? Now where the hell is these people at? I'm really about to get pissed. Cause that guy could easily... Thank you. And then my teammate died. Oh my god. Make money, or these IG models and shambles and certain stuff. Some of these IG models and stuff, they're not even models. They're more of escorts, and escort and stuff. That type of stuff is illegal because it's prostitution. The only place where that stuff is legal is like Nevada. The Nevada is Sin City and it's nasty. It's just nasty. Like, Nevada is hazy and it smells, every place smells like cigarettes. It smells like cigarettes. It's a nasty smell. It is a very nasty smell. And speaking of like Vegas and stuff like that, to me it doesn't make that much sense. Like people talking about like the Nevada, definitely board council that controls the slot machines and certain stuff. They're saying they lost their revenue and certain stuff. I mean, you know, oh well. It's like playing the lottery, but gambling and stuff like that, nah. For the most part, like gambling and stuff is pretty bad. Because at the same time, like, you know, a lot of people are not really living in the moment and where they think that, like, saving their money, you know. People work these jobs and certain stuff, it's not really paying that much money. You know, you're not doing that much. Or they have pretty much low funds. Like, if you make, that's what, yeah, that's $3,000 a month. After taxes, you're probably looking around, maybe 1,700. Like $1,700 a month is decent, but at the same time, if rent and stuff is $1,000, you know, you're living on $700, give or take. Food is probably about, people gonna spend about maybe I would say 350. Doesn't even include gas and stuff like that. You got a lot of stuff. Certain stuff is not gonna gut it. If you were single, then definitely. But like $36,000 a year, that's terrible. I know they did an article about wealth inequality. I tried to shed a light on that. Does wealth inequality exist? Sure, but at the same time, it's all this stuff is kind of like by design. If you think about it, corporations and stuff are laying people off left and right. There's really no need for people to work like that in their eyes. And they can furlough certain people, and some of them people, they know their jobs and stuff or their positions and stuff is not coming back. Maybe they were getting paid too much money. Like for instance, like let's say like school, if school system is running out of money, and a lot of people think that these security guards and stuff are like actually work for the school. They don't. They work for a third party company that's contracted to work at the school to provide security. Now the people get paid every 2 weeks. They get a little bit of benefits and stuff like that, but nah. For the most part, I just don't see it. The job and stuff is dangerous. Like working at a school, it's not even really. I mean, it can be dangerous just because, but at the same time, like you gotta think about what the injuries and stuff, long-term implications. Like, if you already have a damaged back from working at a, you know, oddball job, and you go to something where it's high injury stuff like that, you're injury prone, you can kind of wrap. We'll go to Fort. Let's go to Fort Taylor. Fort Thea. But paying more money for certain stuff doesn't mean certain stuff is good. Like, if you pay, like people talk about all these bags, these designer bags like Hermes and certain stuff. Like, I'm not one of, like I said the other night, I'm not the type of person to really be into designer brand goods and certain stuff like that. I like respectable brands and certain stuff like that, but I'm not really with the name. Like I said, it makes no sense to get a foreign car and stuff like that. You don't even read the owner's manual, and then you don't get good warranty on the car. You just had a car because of the name. You don't really know anything else about the car. like you wouldn't buy a car and certain stuff and not have like afford the maintenance. Like you're not going to take a car like a Lamborghini to go get that done at some mom and pop auto shop. If you don't know what they're doing, you know, you go to the dealership and get some of that stuff done. Like, and you also, you're not going to go to, like I said, a local place and get your car washed. You don't get your car detailed. That's not, you know, you don't get something you can't afford the maintenance of it. That doesn't make sense. But definitely, yeah, you don't get certain stuff you can't afford the maintenance of it. You just don't. And then like I said, you gotta pay vehicle tax and certain stuff like that, and then the tags. Like, definitely. A lot of people also don't be thinking about moving their business and certain, so like owning a business and certain stuff. Like if a business in New Jersey or based in New Jersey and they own a building outright, New Jersey's property tax rate is ridiculous, and it's like it could easily be between $12,000 and $15,000. If you don't pay your property tax, your house and stuff can get foreclosed on, stuff like that. So as much money as I think New Jersey stuff. You know how to show Joe. I don't care about that. But the thing that's kind of like interesting too is like all these different places, like places are hot spots like for coronavirus. Like New Jersey is also a hot spot for coronavirus. New York has been. I think the numbers and stuff, like they don't have so many deaths. That's good. But too many people done died so far. Oh, with the epic hunting rifle, you don't really have to look that much. The hit spread and stuff is tighter. What did you do, dummy? Rickety rig. I remember there was somebody that worked for the particular thing. They were like they committed an armed robbery and they were only like 16. They were a felon. That's terrible. But horrible. What? I might play this game later. I'll probably get off this. Hope y'all enjoyed the stream, guys. I'm out.